The New Game Plus mode in Black Myth Wukong changes more than you think. There are new weapons to earn, a brand new ability to unlock, and way more to get even stronger. I will tell you everything you need to know, but first you want to go into this mode prepared. Only key items, so things like the tiger gadgets needed to open doors in Chapter 2 disappear from your inventory in New Game Plus, as that would screw up your progression through the level. But you keep the rest, so smart to get everything out of this first playthrough first before going through the game again for a second time. One thing you at least want to buy is the Flower Prime's Soak, as this instantly removes any elemental effect you have on you when you drink. You can buy it from the monkey in the hub area or in Chapter 1 after you've reached Chapter 6, and totally do so, as it will help you with the final boss of the game and of course also in your full New Game Plus playthrough. You also want to buy all the items from the shrines in every chapter. Every chapter has their own selection, and every secret area in a chapter also has a separate inventory with valuable items like crafting resources and medicine. You will have a ton of will anyways and can get a ton in New Game Plus, so get these items from the shrine vendors because the vendor will reset in New Game Plus, so otherwise you will miss out. This then also lets you get a ton of mind core that you can use at the dock in the hub area or in Chapter 2 for permanent upgrades that will also come in handy. You can still do this in New Game Plus, but only after encountering the dock again, so smart to do it before entering the New Game Plus mode. But the most important things you want to get are the most powerful items, like the spear that shoots swords, that amazing stone monkey transformation that is wrecking house in New Game Plus, by the way. I told you how to get those in my best items make you overpowered video, a link to that in the video description. And you also want to get the mythical frog spirit that is insanely powerful and the best gourd in the game that holds 10 sips. Like, you can get these items in New Game Plus again, but then you have to reach Chapter 5 and 6 in New Game Plus, so that takes quite some time. So smart to get them before jumping into New Game Plus. I will link the videos where I talk about these unlocks if you missed them in the video description. Oh, and you likely have the Blue Bridge romance drink, right? If not, from the north shore of the Bitter Lake Shrine in Chapter 3, if you go like this under the orange-red building, you'll reach this area where you start the treasure hunter quest as well. Then to the side near the lake you find it. This namely gives you extra movement speed when you take a sip from your gourd, which will speed up your second playthrough a lot, especially if you use it in combination with the upgraded Pilgrim set to the mythical rarity. So I totally recommend that. So when you start New Game Plus, they note that the adversaries you shall encounter in New Game Plus will pose even greater challenges. But really, with these items I just mentioned, you will be blasting through this second playthrough. You now also get way more XP and will per enemy kill. Meditation points can be done again, but now give a good amount of XP instead. And when you pick up a spirit you already have, you also get a bit of will instead. You can also still permanently increase your HP, stamina and MP with the chest that you can find after certain boss fights, although they are not endless. Like at one point I had the maximum, so got some will instead. You can also unlock a second perk from each relic after beating the chapter that would first give you the relic, which means that in your second New Game Plus run you can unlock all the perks from each relic. Now, with one of the biggest things that makes New Game Plus easier is the life-saving strand spell that you get at the start of New Game Plus. If you equip this instead of Pluck of Many, then the next time you die, you are revived on the spot instead with full health. So that's already wild, but you can upgrade this spell even more with skills to get like 3 gourd uses also back when you revive, a nice amount of mana. Now, it does have a 10-minute cooldown, but you can decrease that by killing enemies, and the final skill even has a moderate chance that its usage will not be expended, meaning that you can trigger this 2 times during one boss fight. So while it doesn't recharge when resting at a shrine, it does reset when you completely die, so you have it every time you try a boss. So it's kinda cheating, while again these encounters in at least the first New Game Plus playthrough, as they should get more challenging the more New Game Plus runs you do, but my first playthrough has been a breeze because of the powerful items I'm using. The life-saving strands, by the way, also triggers when you die with that stone monkey transformation, so then you basically can do the transformation a second time, which is kind of crazy, although you could argue that it's nicer to have this with your regular character instead. But there are also multiple new weapons to earn, and you can craft the full Bull King armor now, and I got some other tricks as well. So let's go over that and way more. Of course, leaving a like would really help me out, and subscribe for way more Black Myth Wukong content like this. One of the new weapons that is exclusive to New Game Plus is the Stormflash Longstaff. This one is kinda awesome because you have to hurt yourself to deal more damage to enemies. When you namely charge a heavy attack with this weapon, you inflict thunder to yourself, so become shocked, which means that you take more damage from enemies for the duration of this status effect, which is 50 seconds. But when shocked, you now also deal thunder damage with this weapon to enemies, meaning they can get in the shock state as well, and then you deal around the 20% more damage to that target, which is quite strong. Now you have to make sure that you don't use that Flower Prime Soak I mentioned earlier for in your potion, because that will remove the shock effect every time you take a sip. And also don't use the Cloud Step, because that will remove the status effect you currently have as well. So in New Game Plus, you want to defeat a few of the optional Long creatures to get the weapon. So first, get the Long skills again in Chapter 2, so then you can clear the waterfall in Chapter 1, close to the outside of the Forest Shrine, to then fight the boss and get the loot. And in Chapter 2 from the Rock Res Flat Shrine, also clear the waterfall, kill the boss and get the loot. Then take out the boss on the Turtle Island again, and then you'll have 9 Long Pearls, as you also get one from the Kang Jin Star boss, which part of the main story of course from Chapter 3. And you need 9 to craft this weapon at a shrine. If you need a more detailed guide, I will leave a link to one, as it's the same as getting the other dragon weapon in your first playthrough. But I especially love the new Adept spine shooting Fuban, because this on a successful charged heavy attack gives you some health back. It's not a lot. Now it's mostly the AoE blast you then also do, which is really good. So the range isn't that great, but when enemies stand close to this effect, they will take a significant amount of damage, as if your heavy attack suddenly hits more targets. Like, it can be really satisfying to see all the enemies go down in one go. Another benefit from this stuff is the amazing 25% extra crit chance, and if you then combine that with other crit chance curios, spirits, and the Heaven's Equal armor that you will get in Chapter 6 in your first playthrough. Like, this one increases the crit chance even more after casting a spell, so then you will see these yellow numbers like very often. Spend some sparks to increase the critical hit damage in the foundation skill tree, and you got a very powerful combo. So you can craft the weapon after simply beating the boss in the secret area of Chapter 2 again, and you of course unlock this by doing the Borg quest from the Rock Rest Flat Shrine. If you need help, I will also leave a link to it in the video description, as it's very similar to getting the insect armor. So there's another new weapon that increases your attack based on your defense, with 30 defense being 5 extra attack. So for comparison, with that Stormflash Longstaff that is about the thunder effect, I have 172 attack. But if I switch to the Dark Iron Staff that has a base attack of 110, I go up to 235. So yeah, that's a significant increase of 63 over the Stormflash Longstaff. And that's a lot, of course, in Black Myth Wukong. So also here, use items that increase your defense, because you will then increase your attack as well. You can get a second gold spike plate from the large enemy near the Longevity Road Shrine in Chapter 3 that gives 30 extra defense. I told you about this in that best items video as well. Pop the Spellbinder spell for even more damage, and I can go up to 300 attack now, which is almost double that I get with other weapons. And then you simply wreck house even more with simple light attacks and of course super powerful heavy attacks. And yes, you see me rock it with the full Bull King armor that you can now finally get in New Game Plus. This namely gives you 400 defense, and when you get hit, your defense is increased even more for a short time. The fourth perk that disables the perfect dodge for more tenacity is pretty nice too, so you're not interrupted as often, which is pretty great with the let's do a ton of light attacks in rapid succession playstyle. So yes, to get the full Bull King armor and the Dark Iron Staff, simply complete the secret area of Chapter 5 again in New Game Plus, because then you will have enough of the Bull King's Iron Horns for the armor, and the 2 left over can be spent on the staff. So do the bull quest and take out all the cards in chapter 5 to reach the secret area. If you need more help, I got a link to the best armor video where I talk about it in the video description. And yes, speaking of armor, New Game Plus also gives you way more celestial ribbons that you of course need to craft that bulking armor as well. And it's also of course needed to upgrade other armor sets that can unlock brand new perks. And in New Game Plus, you can by the way upgrade your armor at any shrine, so you don't have to go to the blacksmith for that anymore. Although there is still a very good reason to unlock this hub area again in New Game Plus. You of course do that in chapter 3. If you don't know how, also a link to it in the video description. Because this blacksmith now sells 6 extra celestial ribbons in New Game Plus, so that is next to the 12 you can now get again in the exact same spots as your first playthrough. And you also want to challenge and win against the blacksmith in a duel again, because this lets you unlock another curio slot, so you can have 4, which is very nice. Curios that drop from enemies can by the way be collected again, but the ones you get from chest will now give will instead. And of course subscribe for way more Black Myth Wukong content if you haven't already. A like on the video would really help me out, and check out that video on the best weapons and other unlocks you want to get before jumping in New Game Plus by clicking on the screen. I will speak to you very soon. Goodbye.